The problems with welding will not show in the present time, but after some years the symptoms will show, and then you have to pay the bill.
Danish law says that everybody who works as a welder must have attended a training course on the working environment and safety. In this film, we look at the most important points of this training. Very few seamen and very few fitters weld every day in their work at sea. And as work is carried out in different places which have not necessarily been specially laid out for welding, it's important to take special precautions when you are working at sea. This is because welding can damage your health if you don't protect yourself in the right way. It's particularly important to pay attention to the air pollution that arises in connection with welding. Broadly speaking, welding of all kinds produces smoke and gases. Smoke is made up of tiny particles and is therefore the visible part of the pollution. Gases such as ozone are not visible and are therefore a hidden risk. Smoke and the invisible gases can damage your health. This is why it's important that you do not breathe in either smoke or gas. The diseases that can come from smoke and gas from welding include asthma, chronic bronchitis, lung injury, reduced sperm count, irritation of mucous membranes and skin, allergies, and not least, cancer. The risk of cancer is particularly high in connection with welding stainless steel. Stainless steel contains large amounts of nickel and chromium. The temperature of the arc in connection with arc welding is between 5,000 and 15,000 degrees Celsius. Some parts of the metal evaporate at such high temperatures, and smoke particles which can damage your health arise, and in the worst case, cause cancer. Fortunately, it is quite possible to weld, even stainless steel, without becoming ill. All you need to do is to take the right precautions.
It's just like chemistry. You always have to use the most harmless way to do it, and the most harmless method.
The danger to your health in connection with welding involves chemistry, and when working with chemicals, you should first and foremost use the least dangerous substances. It also concerns using the welding method that is least dangerous for your health. Arc welding, welding with electrodes, is probably the most usual method of welding used at sea. The electrodes that are used in arc welding have numbers on them which show how dangerous the smoke they produce is. Electrodes marked with the number 1 develop less dangerous smoke than electrodes that are marked with the number 7. Always use the electrode with the lowest number, if it's suitable for the work you have to do. It is also always important to think about which welding method you can do the work with in a way that is least dangerous to your health. In addition to arc welding, oxyacetylene welding, CO2 welding, and TIG welding are the most usual methods of welding at sea. It's important to choose the welding method that is best for the job you have to do, and also the method that is least dangerous to your health, after talking to the ship owner or the repair technician. When welding, it's always important to use spot ventilation. When welding in the workshop, the permanent spot ventilation unit must be used. This type of ventilation can remove both welding smoke and the ozone that is often emitted in connection with welding. When welding outside the workshop, you should use a portable ventilation unit such as this. A portable ventilation unit is not nearly as efficient as a permanent ventilation unit, so you should often supplement this with a protective breathing mask. A breathing mask should also be used as soon as the ventilation system cannot effectively remove welding smoke. And a breathing mask should be used together with a portable high-pressure ventilation unit in connection with welding that produces ozone. This applies to such methods as TIG and MAG welding. No matter which kind of ventilation you use, remember to place this suction nozzle as close to the place you're welding as possible. Make sure that the suction funnel catches the smoke effectively, or you must supplement it with a breathing mask. And remember to move the suction funnel in relation to the place where the smoke develops. If you are welding out of doors, such as here, the wind will often make it unnecessary to use ventilation. When welding in enclosed spaces, such as tanks and similar places, a portable spot ventilator will seldom be sufficient. So in these places it will often be necessary to use a special breathing mask. And there are several different kinds of breathing masks. This is a breathing mask with a filter. There must be enough fresh air in the room, and the filters must protect you against the pollution from welding. This is what is known as a turbo breathing mask. Again, it's important to make sure that there is enough fresh air in the room. And again, it's important to make sure that the filters protect you against welding gas and any other gases there may be. Finally, there is a breathing mask which uses fresh air. Fresh air is pumped into the mask with the help of a special compressor. The fresh air breathing mask ensures that the welder does not breathe in the polluted air from the room and is therefore very reliable protective equipment. Before using a fresh air breathing mask, it's important to make sure that the air that is pumped in by the compressor is clean, free from carbon monoxide and bacteria. A fresh air breathing mask must be checked for air quality at least once a year. No matter whether you weld a little or a lot, and no matter which welding method you use, remember that the smoke and gas that develop during welding can harm your health. Avoid them for your own sake. And remember, poor ventilation such as here can result in disease after a long period of time, a disease that you may not discover immediately.
Smoke and gas is the most dangerous part of the welding job. But you also have to think about the light, because just like the sun, it's not healthy for your eyes and also your skin.
The light produced by welding contains ultraviolet rays, and, like very strong sunlight, can burn your skin. Do not allow welding light to radiate onto unprotected skin. Always work with your sleeves rolled down and make sure that your neck and face are protected. Ultraviolet radiation can also injure your eyes. If your eyes are exposed to ultraviolet radiation for a long time, it can in many cases cause conjunctivitis, which is often called welder's eye flash. Welder's eye flash can be very painful, but fortunately it disappears after a couple of days. But in general, you should avoid powerful light shining into your eyes. All welding glass provides your eyes with proper protection, so choose it in accordance with the degree of density that gives the best working conditions. The best thing is to use a face shield with self-closing glass. This type of glass changes color in 1/1000th of a second and minimizes the risk of eye injury.
It's always dangerous to work with electricity, because when you weld, if you're unlucky, you can be a part of the electric circuit.
All equipment for electrode welding, mag welding and TIG welding is electrical equipment, and there is therefore a risk of getting an electric shock. On a ship, you are almost always in contact with one conductor, and it's possible to come into contact with the other conductor when changing an electrode, for example. In this way, a welder comes to form part of the electric circuit, and this is dangerous. Use insulated gloves and do not do this. If your working clothes are slightly damp, the current will go straight to your heart. Alternating current is more dangerous than direct current. Welding units that use alternating current should therefore always be equipped with over-voltage protection. This means that offload voltage will not be higher than 48 volts, for example. All in all, remember that welding could damage your health, but a lot has been done to avoid dangerous situations, and you must help with this. Do not breathe in welding smoke, ozone, or other gases. Protect yourself by using protective clothing and equipment. Take care of your skin and eyes, and avoid forming part of an electric circuit. Keep to these rules, use your common sense, and welding will be no more dangerous than other work.
And remember, all these rules are only for your own sake.